What's going on, YouTube? We are on another episode of Just Drive Cars and Life. I'm your host, Naveed, and we got Branden in the house. Branden, thanks for showing up.
Thank you for having me.
We had a little bit of a technical difficulty earlier, so hopefully this time we're not going to mess it up. Just want to thank the fans for joining in on our Instagram live here. If you guys have any questions, don't feel free to ask. You know, we have our Instagram feed going on, so don't be shy. We are here. But going back to Branden, I've known Branden I've known you in the car community, but I never had a chance to meet you and say, hey, what's up? All I saw was that this guy, he's got his camera on and he's all over the place, you know, from going up on a ladder and getting a really good angle of the cars, or just telling everybody, get the hell out of the way. I'm trying to take a good video. But you basically enjoy all sorts of cars. There's not a specific genre of cars that you like. You have a variety, or I guess that's what's the beauty of this diversification, I guess would be the word of enjoying cars. So
I've been told by several people people that follow a lot of my stuff, they say, you don't discriminate.
Right.
And I have a few rules about the cars that I photograph or the videos that I do, which is if it's a car meet, if it's a car show, if your car is in the parking lot,
right.
If you are a part of the event, it's fair game. I'm going to film it. I'm going to photograph it.
Basically.
And so that way I'm capturing, and because what I tried to do when I started out was I want to document what is going on in the culture in Dallas-Fort Worth and the car community, so that you can look back and go, oh, there was a lot of Mustangs at this time, or there was a lot of Honda Civics. There was something that I put out recently after I was at Race Wars, where I said to several people at events, I was like, where are all the Eclipses at? If you look at my footage and you're in the car community in Dallas-Fort Worth, Eclipses aren't something that you see a whole lot of. And then someone had the Fast and Furious Eclipse at Race Wars set up, and so I had done a bunch of shots of that. And then I did a little piece where I was like, where are all the Eclipses at? And the car community's like, here's your Eclipse right here.
Interesting.
So
yeah. What got you into cars though?
Oh, I've been into cars since I was, little, probably 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
I have a story about, I was probably about 10, and my friend is telling me, hey, we're going to go to the store.
Yeah.
And I never asked him what his parents drove, or it never occurred to me.
Right.
We go to the garage and open the door, and there's a 1977 Porsche 911. We're going to go to the store. My mom's going to, I'm about to ride in this car. And so whenever I was out on the road as a passenger, it's always a car show for me, because I'm always like, oh, I've been car spotting since I was 8, 9 years old.
Very fun.
I went into some folders that I had when I was trying to find some other content, and I have pictures of myself from 2003. I'm with my wife, and some guy had brought his Viper out to a Domino's and just parked it out there, and I've got a picture of myself in front of it. And so cars have always been something I'm like, what was that? And in 2018, I had got on Instagram or Facebook and tried to find car events. And I went to 3 or 4 car events where I heard about it, and I got the flyer, got the information, and I went, and there was no one there. And I wouldn't go to the actual spot. I'd park near it and kind of watch and see what happened. And there was one at Twin Peaks over off of 20. And I showed up, and I thought I was on time and everything, and I looked, and I didn't see another car.
You know, it's really that's happened to me a couple of times too, to where I go to a car show. Matter of fact, this was months ago. This kid, he was just running I don't know what his event was called. It was called Cars and Coffee or something like that. I can't remember. Cars and Donuts. There you go.
Okay.
God bless his soul. I hope, it works out for him. He's just doing something for the community. But the night before, me and the boys, we were already tired. We were just like, okay, we got a car show to go to. And I can't remember what car show we were going after. And I was just curious on, okay, the location's in Colleyville. Okay, so that's good. Okay, well, we'll have to wake up early in the morning and do this. Oh, so now I remember. So we're going to go to that car meet, and then I had my cruise going on the same day too. Oh. So I was like, okay, well, it's in my direction, so let's go there, And we park there, and it's just 3 of us.
You're in the location.
I'm in the location of this car show. and it's literally behind my buddy's, apartment complex or housing complex that he lives in. And so it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're just like sitting there in the parking lot. There's only three of us, and then from like the corner of my eye, I see the kid get in this Tacoma and literally just drive away. And we're just like, dude, like we're here, like. And then he comes back, and then he starts talking to us for a little bit. But it was whatever at the time. Maybe timing was bad, but it's really frustrating though when you're going somewhere and what you're expecting doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And it's completely time consuming. It's like, for
it's
instance,
your time. It's
for
your
instance,
gas.
if you're going to go to Fueled Up, or if you're going to go to Cars in Comerica, or basically any car show that is, about 30 minutes to an hour away for a lot of folks, and you go there and like, oh, well, it just shut down, or well, there's not enough cars here, or it's just really frustrating. So,
it happened to me the other day. It was the day that it rained and everything got shut down that day.
That's right.
And I'm near downtown Fort Worth. Well, I got on the road, and when I'm driving, I don't really mess with my phone very much. And so it's a 40 plus minute drive, and I get to the location, and I pull up my phone, and they posted a half an hour from the time. I'm like, I've been on the road for 40 minutes. I couldn't check to see that.
Right.
I have a buddy that lives in Plano. I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, hey, I'm down the street. I'm gonna come hang out at your house. And he's like, yeah, you're.
I mean, if it works out like that, right?
That was
Anyways, going back on the topic that we were talking about. It's if you got a friend in the area, obviously, and
it works out.
It works out fine. But if it doesn't, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And that's when I got to a point to where there was just certain car shows I just don't go to. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my gas. It's not worth, because when you go to these prime car shows, for instance, Cars in Comerica, Fueled Up, Cars and Cocktails, Cars and Coffee South Lake.
A lot of park up front stuff.
A lot of park up front stuff, or even like the cruises that I host, or the rallies that there are on park up front. Yeah. You get to network with so many folks, and that's the beauty of those shows. But when you go into generic shows, it's like, what are you going to get out of it?
It's just a flyer from someone's Instagram.
Basically.
It's not really an organization or a group.
Basically.
It's a person that.
Right, exactly.
And they don't have permission, they just have a location.
Well, just the location, and then like it doesn't work out, like they didn't get a permit from the city, and you just wasted all this time. Yeah. But the worst ones are, this has happened, where a car event is going on, and like 30 minutes or 15 minutes before, they cancel it with no notification at all whatsoever. Oh, man. And you're just like, and it doesn't happen once. It's happened 2 times, 3 times, and there's folks out there that do it, and it's just like really disrespectful when you're canceling an event that people actually put the time into. Like if it's an hour before, well, let's say me and you are going to a car show. Well, we're getting dressed. We've already put the time into it, and then we're like, hey, we're canceled. Well, what the hell? Like, what if I was on my way there? What if I was like? And so when that doesn't take into consideration really well, it just, like you said, it gets really frustrating. So I try to tell folks, like, either cancel it 6 a.m. in the morning or whatever day it is, or cancel the day before. 24-hour notice at least. Don't do it like an hour before or an hour and a half before, when folks are getting ready and they've planned for this, and then now
that's their day.
You just rub it in their face, and like there's no type of I wouldn't say remorse, but there's no type of
there's no accountability if
there's no accountability
if there's no organization
whatsoever. So hopefully that gets better. The level of communication should get better. I've had moments where I was running a cruise, and it starts at 9 o'clock. I have somebody like jumping at 9:15 or 9:30 a.m. They're like, "Yo, where's the location spot?" And I'm just like, "Dude, I really want to help you out, but I'm in the middle of the cruise." But what you can do, show up in the midway point. And we can take it from there. Yeah, we have stops. So meet me there, and they're like, okay, perfect, I can do this, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to try to reject them from the get-go. I just want to give them the opportunity. So
I can talk a little bit about where it started for me as far as what I'm doing now in Dallas-Fort Worth, which is all the footage and everything.
Yeah, talk about that.
I went to a Cars and Cocktails. Which I finally went to an event where it happened.
Right.
And I before that,
and it's literally right down the street from here.
Yeah.
So
and the stuff that I was going to before was all Tarrant County. It was Fort Worth. It wasn't far from the house, so it was like 10 minutes. because there isn't a lot of stuff, or at the time, that was in the Fort Worth area. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to drive to Dallas. So if I want to go to something that's going to be a legitimate thing, I'm going to have to go to the Colony. I'm going to have to go to the Dallas area. And so I went to a Cars and Cocktails. I had my phone, I had a selfie stick, and I went and I did all this footage. And then when I was done, I was like, well, I have a YouTube channel, but that's my YouTube channel. It has my vacation videos and it has stuff with me and my family. And I'm like, I want to share this, but I don't want to have people like sifting through all my other videos to see the car stuff. And I thought, well, I'll make a channel that I can put out there, and I can go to this channel, and this is all stuff about cars, and you can feel free to look at anything that's on this channel.
And I wanted to go towards that real quick, because like for instance, like I only have like 53 subscribers on YouTube, and I just started this back in February. And all I do is just one episode a week, or whenever I can on a weekend, if I'm not busy, to get one thing going on. So like, I'm not like diehard into this thing. And so, because I'm like one of those guys where I'm just going to keep posting, and then one day it's just going to blow up like a freaking virus, basically.
People will figure it out.
Right. Are you on the same boat though? Like, do you put as much time, or are you just like one of those where, I'm just going to do this, post it on, okay, next show, post it on next show, post it on next show?
I don't put a lot of time into the production part of what I'm posting as far as YouTube. It's really just longer versions of what I put on Instagram. My subscriber base for YouTube has to do with I have YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And what I'm finding is, because I'll go to a classics car show, that's going to be a lot of older people.
Right.
I'll go to a car meet, that's going to be a lot of younger people.
I see.
And so if I'm filming, I have the hat. When it started, when I was going to Cars and Coffee Dallas at the BMW dealership, that was the big event that I would go to.
That was basically the OG.
That was the one. Back in the day. And when someone would ask me, they'd see me filming, and they'd say, "Oh, where you're filming my car? Where can I see the footage that you're using for my car?" And I'd say, "Oh, well." And I'd have to take my phone out, and I'd have to go, okay, here's the channel that I made. I didn't have an Instagram at the time. And I'd pull up my channel on my phone and be showing them my phone. I'm like, this is, I can't do it this way.
I see.
So I went to Lids, and I just had them print the name of the channel on my hat. Okay. So that I could show people, okay, well, just take a picture of the hat and make sure you see that's a 0. Right. They're lowercase letter, that's a 0. And then when you type that in a search on YouTube, you're going to find the channel. There it is. Gotcha. And people just started taking pictures of the hat. Well, then I got Instagram, and I got Facebook. And so then I had a shirt made. And now the shirt has TikTok, and it has follow, like, subscribe. So now people take a picture of the shirt. Okay. And it's I just went over 500 on YouTube. Nice. Like 505, I think. And it's really all because I've gone out every weekend for 3+ years. And that's just the people that have met me in person, that I made a video of their car, and so they subscribe to my channel. Gotcha. And that's a lot of I don't have Instagram. Okay, well, here's YouTube. I don't use Facebook. Okay, well, here's this. I can give whatever format you want, depending on the demographic that I'm dealing with. Basically, yeah. And it's just, it's every time I'm out there, individuals. I was talking to the Z lady. She's over 10,000 on Instagram, and she's got,
Well, didn't she start off of TikTok? One TikTok video?
She had one TikTok video.
And then the rest was just basically history. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to her. Her and I kind of are experiencing this, I don't know, fame or whatever, but we're kind of experiencing the way that people are reacting to us at the same time in the same way. And so I was showing her my Instagram. I'm like, yeah, I'm at 1,900 plus. But this is pretty much all individual people that have met me personally. And she's like, wow, you've given your Instagram to, like, they've taken a picture of my hat, or they've met me in person, over 1,800 people. She's like, that's more impressive than, because these 10,000, she doesn't know who these people are. Right. She's never met them. They just kind of piled on.
But I think it's unique in that aspect to where you get that type of fame, basically, and it doesn't have to be extreme, but it's just like people know of me, or people have heard of me. Like, for instance, everybody knows me because of my M5. my blue
Yes,
BMW.
right, sure.
Basically, that's it. They're like,
Mhm.
okay, do you know the guy with the blue M5? Okay,
That's it.
that's him. That's the guy. That's the guy that
Mhm.
runs the cruises. That's the guy that runs the rallies or whatever, you know? And so, for instance, when we were talking about the Z lady, like I was on TikTok and I was just like, went through it and I was like, she did this. And then I saw it in person. I'm just like this is not like a dream or a fairy tale. This is like reality.
Yeah.
Like, social media can bring up so many people into the community that you just don't know about. You know, somebody come back and says, yeah, I saw your car review on YouTube. Like, well, who reviewed it or who saw it? Well, such and such person took a video of your car. Or this person did this person did that. But not only that, you also see a lot of people that get intimidated by the fame. Does it make sense? Like, I'll have a guy. I remember one time I had a photographer that was like trying to take photos of my car.
Okay.
And like deep down, I'm just like, dude, like you're like literally leaning into my car to try to take a photo of my steering wheel. Just open the door. Like, do yourself a favor. You know what I mean? And so literally, I would like yell from the crossing parking lot, open the door. And he's like this one. I'm like, yeah, just do yourself a favor. But like, I know there's a lot of people that are picky out there. You know, they're just like, don't touch my car. Don't even look at my car. No photos. Like, I do not want to be on social media. Do not, you know, it happens.
I do car spotting, and there's a location near my house. It's Eddie V's Seafood. It's in Fort Worth, and there's always high-end cars parked out front. And it doesn't have to be Saturday. It can be a Thursday. And there was a guy there with an NSX, probably the 2019, and I was doing some car spotting. So the engine's exposed in the back, and so I'm kind of leaning over, getting the shot. And the guy's at the valet spot. Right. Like, hey, what are you doing with my car? I'm like, I'm just photographing it. I'm a car spotter. I'm just getting some shots. If you,
well, I mean, not
like,
only
I'll delete them if you don't want me to use them.
But here's the thing, like, in my opinion, if you're taking a photo of a car, like, you're not taking a photo of like their license plate. Like, there's nothing personal. But even if his license plate is exposed, he's driving it out into the public. So that's technically their problem.
If he's not doing anything illegal, it's just sitting in a parking space.
Exactly. You know, I mean, like, you heard about the story about Daniel Mack when he went to he would go to Highland Park Village. Like, they banned him because because he was like, you're technically trespassing. I'm like, the guy is just asking somebody, what do you do for a living?
Okay, no, I didn't know.
Yeah, he did that. He did that, and like they were like, "Yeah, what do you do for a living?" And they're like, "No, you're banned. You're not going to come here anymore." Yeah, and they kind of give him. It was the amount of time that they say you can't set foot here it's quite a while. But it's ridiculous.
But he's on the set of Fast and Furious 9 talking to the stars and riding in the cars.
Like, you know, I think, in my opinion, when you get all these YouTube videos or social media aspects in it, you only need one thing to do right, and it just takes off.
I'm really proud of the video that I did of the 65 AC Cobra at Barrett Jackson. I created the video for TikTok. Okay. And the video on TikTok is 1 minute, but there's a longer cut of it. And I'm like, the song has more to go. Right. And I put it out. I put it on Instagram, and I thought, it'll get taken down, but I'll just put it out there, let some people see it. Right. And when it told me it was blocked, it gave me a list of countries, and the United States isn't on there. No shit. So it's like Russia, China, North Korea, and Japan. I'm like, I wonder why that is though. Like, does it have to do with the song, or does it have to do with Led Zeppelin?
That's right. Okay.
And I would think, well, I think they would block it around the whole world. Yeah. And so I started looking, because it'll tell you, do you want a challenge? So I started looking at all of the countries. I'm like, that's not America. I look at the A's, it doesn't say America. I look at the U's, it doesn't say United States. It's not on there. I'm like, I see. Well, go ahead and block it then. I don't care. I see. Can you see the video in Dallas-Fort Worth? Fine. Block it everywhere else. I don't care. I just wanted to be able to, the people that follow me, which is mostly here, to be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, cool. I'm just going to leave it up then.
But here's a fair question, though. Why do you do it?
Why
do you do all the YouTube videos? Why share what you're passionate about?
It was a snowball. Okay. It started out with just going to Cars and Cocktails, and then creating the channel, and then like, well, I can't just have like one event. I should go, and I enjoyed going and seeing the cars. And my goal, or what I'm trying to do, is not everyone was at Cars and Cocktails that day, so not everybody saw the cars that were there. Okay. So if you'll go to my channel and you didn't get to see it, there they are. I see. There was a car show. Well, I didn't get to go. Well, I went and I filmed as many of the cars as I could.
It's really funny that you say that. I remember years ago, this was because I was out of the car show scene for about like 4.5 years.
Wow.
I was going through a lot of personal things, and but I remember prior to that, Carson Coffee Dallas was like the place to go.
That was it.
But I remember the reason why I wanted to go, and this is really interesting. This now that we talk about it, I wanted my car to be on somebody's like YouTube feed.
Okay.
Without even asking. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I wanted to where every single time when people would do the drive off or the full send, I was like, man, I'm going to do this every time, and hopefully I'll show. And like back then, like I had a Mercedes E320, I had a BMW 328i, I had a Jaguar XJR. I would bring a couple of cars like from my dealership that I owned with my dad.
Oh, cool.
Bring a Ford Mustang GT every once in a while. And the thing is that like everybody would look at the car, but at the end of the day, they're like, dude, in my opinion, what was going through my mind, I was like, I think these guys think that I drive a piece of shit car,
For the cars that you were bringing?
For the cars that I was bringing personally. Because I was like, I'm not ending up on YouTube, and nobody's YouTube, nobody's asking about the car, nobody's giving me the attention. Like, first of all, like, I was... maybe 19, 20, 21 during that time period?
I got the headspace.
Yeah, right?
I got the headspace.
And so it's like during that time, as you're still like, even though you're an adult at that point, you still want some acceptance from society at that point, right?
Some validation.
At
19.
And so like, I was like, man, I didn't show up. And that was the thing. I was so addicted I went to every single YouTube. I shit you not. I would search every single car show, and I would watch it from beginning till end. Looking for my car. Like, is it going to show? And then, like, there would be one section, oh, you, like, literally see it here? Like, that's perfect. And then, like, I would, like, collect it. And then I would like make like a small video out of it and say, cool.
Other people's footage.
Yeah, other people's footage, and then I would delete it, and I'm like, okay, that's my history. And then once I wanted to get back into the car community, before I bought my M5, I had a 2014 Mercedes E350.
Okay.
I'm like I've said this before, I'm BMW by faith, but I'm Mercedes by heart.
Oh,
does that make sense? So, we can talk about Mercedes all day. I don't have a problem talking about BMW, but let's talk about Mercedes all day.
Right.
I'm okay with that. So I sold it, and I was overseas, and my friend at the time had a dealership, and sure enough, I see this BMW, and he calls me, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I just got this. It's a trade-in. It's a one owner. I love the color, the fact that it was blue." And then he says it's got the V10 in it. And so I was like, okay, now I really want the
Box
car.
are getting checked.
And so I flew back to Dallas like maybe a day or two later, bought the car, And ever since then, I went to one car show. I don't know what car show. What was my first car show that I went to when I bought that car?
Was Cars and Coffee at Dallas?
It was the South Lake. So we're talking about 3 years ago. Me being out of the car scene for such a long time.
You were over to South Lake?
Yeah.
Was it at the school?
It was at the Dragon Stadium.
The stadium?
It was at Dragon Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was my first, I'm not gonna lie, that was my first time I went to a car show after 4.5 years
you went to the stadium in South Lake.
Yeah.
I accidentally, I think it might have been the first time that I went to Cars and Coffee South Lake.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know about the entrance. And so I pulled in with my 2013 Kia Forte, and I pull up, and the guy's like, $10, and I'm like, that's fine. Sure. And I give him the $10, and he gives me a koozie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right on. And I'm like, oh, I'm in the parking lot. Oops. But it's a big park. So I just kind of parked every time I would go to any event, I'd always park off to the side. I'm a photographer. I'm not there with the car. I'm there with the camera. True. So I'd always park off to the side. And so I'm like, well, I'm in the parking lot, but I'm just going to keep my windows up, and I'll just park way over to the side. But I paid to get in. I'm like, oh, I'm in the parking lot.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But I got the koozie.
Right.
So I remember the stadium before they went to the church.
And it was fun. Yeah, and it was fun. And it was like really interesting. Like after that amount of time that I wasn't in the car show scene, now I'm back in the car show, and then I buy this BMW M5, and like I get people like approaching me, like they're like, "Dude, is this your M5? Dude, is this what? I haven't seen this car." Then and for me, I had that moment of appreciation or gratitude that wow, like somebody actually is interested in my car. 5 years ago, nobody gave a shit about what I drove. Nobody cared about what I had. And now,
the V10.
And then it went in somebody's YouTube video, and then I slowly just started getting, popular and just worked my reputation up. And then I went on this hunting spree of who else in this town has an M5 that's got the V10
the sedan.
Dallas,
yeah,
with my exact car, different color. I don't care. I should just start going on a hunt. So left and right, I found a guy that lives down in Grand Prairie, and I saw his car at a mechanic shop, got his number. Yo, let's meet up. Saw his M5. He saw my M5. We exchanged numbers. Then I went and found another guy that was working for a dealership, and he had an M5. We met up. Then at Cars and Cocktails, I met a guy who had an M5 just like me. And so, but the thing is, I didn't really pay attention to his M5 that much because I was a selfish son of a bitch. You know? I cared about my M5. I didn't care about his M5.
Yeah.
But one by one, everybody just started texting me and saying that, yo, Naveed, like, do you know this guy with the M5? And I'm like, yeah, I think I do. And then one day, we went to, there was a show called Burbles of Bavaria.
Okay.
So it had to do with all BMWs, basically, or any type of European model car. The Burbles of Bavaria, Bavarian Motor Works, BMW. Right? So I literally called the boys. I'm just like, whoever's got an M5 or an M6, it's got a V10 in it. And sure enough, Jordan of Cars and Cocktails, so he had an M6 at the time, a V10 M6. So I saw his, V10 M6 that he had. And he was like, wow, like, I haven't seen your sedan in a while. I was like, I've never seen an M6 V10 like in my life before. Like, and then sure enough, there was probably like 6 or 7 of us with M5s and M6s with the V10 engine on it. And we started from downtown Dallas and went all the way to Lone Star Park where the host was at, and we were screaming on the highway with our cars. Like, it was just such an epic moment. And then once we got there, then I met somebody else with another M5, and I'm like, another M5, and I'm like, holy cow, like, this is epic. So all in all, I was like, okay, well, I'm seeing different colors. Well, does somebody, and at that time I was like, up here with my car. I'm like, okay, mine's an M5. It's blue. I'm the only blue one here in Texas.
With the
like
V10.
Just with a V10, like bragging rights up here. Yeah. And then sure enough, somebody says, Naveed, you're not the only one with the blue M5 V10 engine in Dallas. I'm like, I literally said, get the fuck out of here. Bullshit, right?
Right.
And they're like, no, here it is. I'm like, son of a bitch. I was like, now I want to meet the guy. And he's got a shop all the way out in Mansfield. I dragged my ass from downtown Dallas
to Mansfield.
Saw him, and I said, son of a bitch.
Damn near Waco.
This guy has a blue M5 V10. Just like mine. And then he tells me, he was like, well, I actually bought this from another guy. And the guy that works on my car, he has a blue M5.
Just like that.
And I'm like, okay, where's this motherfucker at? And he was like, yeah, he's got a shop over in Addison. Went to Addison, and I'm like, holy shit, another one. And
just like yours. The blue.
So the blue, and I was like, oh my gosh, now there's 3 of us. And then I found a guy down in San Antonio has one in blue. So I'm like, okay, there's 4 of them now in Texas. And then Cars and Coffee, TGE, a couple weeks ago. So I'm on my way there. I go to the McDonald's parking lot. And sure enough, I see another blue E60 M5, and it's a woman that's driving it. And I was like, that's my 5th blue M5 that I've seen in Texas, know? So like, it's when, I'm biased against my car. Every single person is biased. Like, if folks have Lambos, they're biased about their Lambos.
Yeah.
If folks are biased about their GTRs, they're biased about their GTRs. But at the end of the day, you still respect their level of passion. Does that make sense? If, arguments and butting heads, it's always going to be well, my car's faster than yours, my car's better than yours, my car's... That's a bias. That's everybody's opinion about what they have. At the end of the day, you can show up on the track and talk business there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or you can go show up at a autocross or something like that. Watch Top Gear, watch the Grand Tour, and everybody has their own opinion. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think it's cool that we have this type of diversity within our community, and that we get to see different cars. Yeah. Because a lot of folks, especially within the exotic community, they go to Cars and Coffee South Lake, or they'll go to Cars and Cocktails, whatever, and they're like, man, I want to go buy, for example, a GT3.
Okay.
But, if I go to a dealership, like, I'm not going to be able to look at the car the way that I want to, because it's in their showroom. Like, don't touch the car. You can't get in it. You can't start it. You can't drive it.
Yeah.
Nothing like that, right? So when he sees that car in person, he's like, holy shit. Like, hey, dude, I understand this is your car. I'm thinking about buying it. Like, do you mind, like, showing your car? And the guy can easily say yes, or he can say no. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, he's got the flexibility and the opportunity to come back and say, if this is what I want, here it is in front of my eyes. Now, it doesn't even have to be a GT3. It could just be a regular Toyota Camry that a kid that decided to, go all out on it, put it on backs, put it on rims, wrap it, everything, do a muffler and delete on it, whatever. But it brings a type of inspiration to people at the end of the day. And I think that's what's really cool about these car shows that we're going to, is the fact that we get to see a lot of diversity.
Whenever I'm at an event and that I find someone and I show a lot of interest in their car, that's when they start, oh, you should sit in it. And this is going to be the most that I've appeared on video in 3 years.
Nice.
There's not an hour's worth of video of me in all my content.
Okay.
I can think of 4 times when I put myself on camera, which is someone let me sit in their car.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, you hold the camera because I want you to point it at me getting in the car.
Right.
And there was a guy this was a car meet over in Fort Worth. And this guy came in a Trans Am. And the Trans Am, the 93 to 98, 2002, that Trans Am, that's my favorite car. I won the Powerball.
Why?
I had a 93.
Okay.
And I had an accident in it. And then when it went to the dealership, I called him and I said, look, white paint and black paint cost the same amount. So I want you to paint the body white, and I want you to paint the roof and the side mirrors black.
Okay.
And then I took it to a concert with my girlfriend, and when we left, we took a picture in front of the car at night.
Okay.
And the whole top of the car disappeared. So it was just the body of that 93 Firebird. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful car in the whole world. This is just I know that there's experts out there that say the Lamborghini Miura is the most beautiful car. No, it's
not in your opinion.
No, it's not It's the 98 Trans Am.
Yeah, for you. Yeah, for you.
And so I was telling this guy, I'm like, this is my Powerball car. And he's like, you want to get in it? I'm like, okay. And then he's like, here, start it up. He hands me the keys and he's like, you want to rev it? And I'm like, anytime I show a lot of interest in someone's car and the owner's there was a guy with I think he had an M3. This is a Cars and Turbo. And I'm like, what is this? Because he was running, the car was running. I'm like, what is this? It was convertible. And he's like, it's an M3. And I'm like, I'm thinking about the M5, but let me see this.
Right.
And he's like, well, get in. I'm like, okay. And I hand him my camera. I'm like, and he's like, go ahead. He said it was stock, but it was popping on the rev. And anytime I show somebody a lot of interest and I tell them how passionate I'm about their car I am, they want me to sit in it. They want me to try and experience the car. They want to bring, okay, well, here, I'm going to get another one in the flock.
Right.
So get in the car and start it up. And I also wanted to talk about why I do what I do. It's the snowball has been, I was starting to go to more and more events. I don't think it used to be every weekend, 3 or 4 events per weekend.
Okay.
But there was a guy that saw me, and he's like, I see you everywhere, and you're hustling hard, and I really. He says to me, oh, there's this car, and I want you to photograph. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I got some shots of it, and I'm leaving, and I said, hey, I got the shots of that car. And he's like, okay. He says, how much money are you making? I'm like, I'm not making any money doing this. He's like, oh, man. And he pulls out a wad of cash, and he gives me a $20 bill.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, thanks, appreciate that.
Right.
A few months later, he sees me again. He's like, oh, man, you really gives me $40. I'm like, wow, thank you. I appreciate that. I see him months later. He puts some money in I'm not looking. I just put it in my pocket. I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I'm moved. So I just keep on going. Later on that day, it's a 50.
Oh, shit. No.
Oh, my God. He's like, hey, respect the hustle. I see what you're doing. I took that 50 and I went home and I walked in the house and I put it on the counter. I said, somebody just gave this to me. That inspired my wife. Like, we really need to help. We need to support this. You're doing this. Other people are supporting you, and now I have the support of the family.
I see.
And I started out with just the phone, and then she works in apartments. Well, they have a camera that when someone moves out, they have to take pictures of the,
Right.
well, they got a replacement camera.
Yeah.
So she just gave me this little cyber shot. She's like, here, you can have the old camera, you can
Right.
have it. So I got a tripod. That's how I did my stills.
Right.
And then she's like, you need a real camera. This was years later. She's like,
Right.
you need a real camera. And I talked to this guy that had a Canon. He goes, whatever Canon you want to get the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever Canon you get, make sure you get the eye. And I'm like, okay. So I told her that. So she got me a T7i.
Okay.
And she just bought me the package. So after I had that, I just left it on auto for a while. And I just do my stills. I'd have it around my neck, and then I do video with the phone.
Right.
And I kept those gimbals for the phone. Just they last about 6 months, and the motors run out. I'm like, I'm gonna stop spending money on the phone gimbals.
Right.
And I went to forward camera, and for $500, I got one for the SLR.
Right.
Now I'm doing video on the SLR.
Right. But it's heavy though.
It's
like in the beginning, like after a while, it gets a little bit tiring when you're trying to move your arms and trying to get the right angle and everything.
You'll see me where I'll turn it off and I'll just hang it. I'm on a break or whatever. But it's I think the camera's less than less than 5 pounds.
Yeah, but it's like a 4-arm workout though.
But then the gimbal's another. Yeah, no, and I'm constantly moving it around.
So,
but
more power to you. I mean that's the that's basically it.
It's just been a snowball where every time being on Instagram I was going to events and I tell people, oh, I have this YouTube channel,
right?
And they aren't people like, man, you got to get on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Right.
People, and I'm like, well, I guess. And I had an Instagram, but it was mine, so I deleted all my personal stuff and I changed the name of the Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a guy that gave me a little intro video, but he put an underscore on the thing. And I'm like, this is supposed to be for YouTube, and YouTube doesn't have an underscore. That's the Instagram.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I want to use this. So I changed the name of the YouTube channel to match this little intro that he had made.
Right.
But it was an error.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I made the TikTok account, I'm like, well, this is the Instagram. And I did the same. So that error has now unified the YouTube channel and the Instagram and the TikTok and the Facebook and soon the website. And so everything is just kind of, every problem that I've run into has turned into, well, I'm going to have to solve that problem with a solution. So what do I do with that? I have events that I'm going to, and I'll have all this footage, and they'll go, okay, can I have the footage? I'll say, well, do you have a Gmail account? Because if you have a Gmail account, I can the Dropbox is created.
Right.
Gmail will just make a Dropbox. But there's people that don't have Gmail.
There's a lot of people that shit. Like I had so many people come say, Naveed, do you have a Facebook account? Do you have a Facebook? And for the longest time, I didn't have Facebook for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
I was Facebook free. I was away from social media for a good 4 or 5 years. The reason why I just got back into it after so many years was, I started traveling, so every time when I would travel, Naveed, why aren't you putting that on Instagram? Okay, fine. Here, I'll put it on Instagram. But then they're like, okay, Naveed, you're going to all these car events. And Instagram is just so easy to use nowadays.
Yeah.
Versus Facebook, to where you have to post a video, you have to post this, you have to post that, then tag this person, and then try to say, okay, all right, the time of date, the location.
Yeah.
And I'm like, some people, they just don't have time for that. Does that make
Everything
sense?
for my Instagram, it just goes straight to the Facebook.
Which is great. And that's where everything became easier to use, because everybody's now using social media platforms, and now there's actually databases or softwares that are just say, you just need to post this once, I'll take care of the rest.
But my TikTok, which I could attach to my Instagram, I haven't. And a couple of reasons. One, because all of the stuff that I do on TikTok is sideways.
Right.
And I do that because I want more of the frame. I know that they're going to look at it on the phone, and I've seen where it's like this and you have giant bars in the top and bottom.
Right.
And I want that whole phone. I want the whole screen, so I tilt it.
I see.
And if I share that to Instagram, it's going to be like this.
Right.
And so I'm like, just go to the TikTok. If you have TikTok, then you get this exclusive content.
I see.
But I have done a couple where there's actually 2 videos where I'm like, oh, this is really good. I really want other people to see it. So I'll put it on my Instagram.
I see.
But because I'm using copyrighted music, I'm worried that, this is going to stay up for a day, or how long is it going to last?
Right.
And so there was a video that I did of the 1985 Toyota, I think it's the SR5, the Back to the Future truck. And I was really proud of that video. I'm like, I really want people to see it. So I put it on my Instagram. And then when I did the video of the Cobra, I'm like, I really want people to see. And there's a longer version of them.
Nice.
But most of the stuff that's on TikTok, if you don't have TikTok, you can't see it.
Right.
But if you have YouTube, and that's pretty much all my stuff from Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 10-minute versions of Instagram videos.
Gotcha.
If you have Facebook, or that's how you get my stuff,
Right.
it comes straight from the Instagram.
I see.
So that's how I'm managing my platforms. Is this just kind of goes automatically? The editing for me is pretty much, I've got this many clips, let's make that 5 minutes. I'll just cut them together.
That's fair.
If I have a little dead space where the camera's getting adjusted, I'll cut that out. But it's pretty much just cut them together and then press go, and then that's 5 minutes. Okay, 2 5-minute clips. Just take the 2 5-minute clips,
Right.
cut them together. There's my YouTube stuff.
Basically.
But TikTok is where I got on TikTok, and I wanted to do whole songs, and it was only 30-second or 45-second clips. I'm like, no, I want to do like full videos, and it doesn't really let me do that. It's only 1 minute, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it.
I see.
And then something happened. I'm like, I think I can use this. And then I got back on TikTok, and now that's where, because whenever I do a music edit, that's where I'm really I really enjoy making music edits. There's a couple music edits that are on Instagram that I look back, I'm like, wow, I did a really good job on that. And so TikTok has now got me where I'm doing those music edits again, and I'm doing it for the TikTok account, and now I can use any music I want, and I don't have to worry about it coming back and saying it's blocked, or it can't go on YouTube because YouTube will take it down. I have what's called royalty-free music. There's a channel on YouTube, and I can use that. I can put it on YouTube, and it leaves it alone.
Okay.
And I can put it on Instagram too. But TikTok has really got me where I don't have to make a 4-minute cut, because a 4-minute cut can take me several weeks of editing. And so doing these little 1-minute cuts, it takes less time. I can use any song I want. And I really enjoy doing the music edits. The other stuff is I'm just like, here's the coverage. Here's my raw footage of this event that you didn't go to, or you were there, but you were in another part of the parking lot. Here's the event as raw and as basic as I can give it to you. Here's me just walking around with the camera. The music edits, that's kind of something that I've discovered that passion. I'm like, I did a really good job on that cut, and I got that. Because I have 40 minutes worth of footage, and I have a 3-minute song or a 2-minute song. I can find the best
version of it.
Yeah, I can find 6 seconds in this 30-second cut that's really good. I can find a 3-second, because the beat cuts the song edits itself.
Right.
Once the video's there and I know what song I'm going to use. So TikTok doing a 1-minute cut, that's easy.
Okay.
I can choose what part of the song I want to use, and then I can go, the beats cuts are just going to tell me where it is. And now that I've discovered slow motion and I'm just using it for everything, I can just be like, okay, now this 5-second clip is 30 seconds. Now I can.
see.
And so that's kind of, everything has been an evolution of, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to, like, when I launch the website, hopefully next year, it's going to have a Dropbox to part of it. That's going to be where, I'm doing this event and you want your footage, go to the website and I'll give you a code and you can get to your stuff. All the things like the t-shirts that I'm going to make for the public. I'm going to do t-shirts where, and it's not going to be, I'm going to make money off of it. I'm not going to live off of it,
but you could.
There'll be a small profit.
Okay.
And it'll just allow me to continue to do it. But
where do you want to go with it? Like, where do you want to,
I already have a retail location. Okay. Graphics 84 is going to carry my shirts. Okay. I talked to him. I said, hey, I'm going to make some shirts. Would you sell them? And he's like, yeah, it's no problem.
So, but the thing is that, like I said, like, you have this idea out of nowhere that came up and it showed up, and, everybody wants to be curious, like, okay, so where are you going with this? Where do you want to go with it? What is your...
I have a 3-year plan.
Okay.
I have a 3-year plan. I have a job. When I started doing this, I was temping, or I had this job that was terrible and I wasn't going to stay there anyway. And ironically, in April of 2020, when the rest of the country was getting unemployed, I found a permanent job.
No shit.
I was at Dickies in March, and then I think it was March 18th. They're like, okay, everyone that's not a Dickies employee, go home.
Okay.
And basically, I got laid off from Dickies.
Gotcha.
And I was a
Sorry
temp.
to hear that. Okay.
Well, I was a temp, and I think I was home for. My wife said it was like 6 weeks, but it was like about a month. I was unemployed in March, April.
Okay.
And then the temp service called back, and they go, "We have 2 jobs.
Okay.
You can go back to Dickies." And like, they're not going to hire me. I already did 4 months.
Right.
And I kept saying, "Hey, my 90 days is up. Like, what's going on?" And they just kept dragging their feet. They said, "We have this other thing." And I'm like, "What's the other thing that's not Dickies? Because I don't want to go back there."
Okay.
And they're like, "Well, it's over here." And I'm like, "Okay." And not even 90 days. They're like, "We're going to have paperwork for you." I'm like, we haven't even done the 90 days, and you're already telling me. So they hired me less than 3 months after I started. And I'm like, I've been looking for a permanent job with a company that I could stay with for like 3 years.
Gotcha.
And then on top of that, they don't have an end time. I don't get off work at.
I see.
It's, did we finish? Are we done with everything we need to do?
Right.
Now you can go home.
I see.
Which turns into 11-hour days.
Which is tiring.
But,
gruesome, yeah.
Well, I'm former military, so I think it gives me a little endurance.
Right.
But before, I was working 40 hours, and I wasn't even making the amount of money that I was making at this place. I was making more at this place than I had been at my 40. So now I'm at 60-hour days, plus more money per hour.
But the reward is really nice at the end.
And that was able to fuel, I need a camera, I need equipment, I need gas money, I need...
Well, it gives you hope. It gives you hope that, like this can actually work out.
Well, it's ironic because now I found this permanent position and I could probably stay there for many, many years.
Right.
But I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I
want Motive Auto to be the fuel. I want to quit my job in 3 years.
Okay.
And so I've had people like the guy that was giving me, how much money you make? I'm not making any money on this.
Right.
This is all me. This is thousands of my dollars.
Right.
And don't even talk about gas money.
Right.
A tank of gas per weekend for the last 3 years.
Gotcha.
In this.
Okay.
And then the shirts that I had made and my hats and all the other stuff that I've done. And so I'm going to try and start making money next year.
Gotcha.
I'll do private shoots. I'll charge for events. I'll still always want the opportunity to go to an event, even if somebody doesn't want to pay me to be at the event. I'm still going to want to go and what I'm seeing is happening. All these little bits are happening. There was an event that I was going to go to, and I sent an email to him, and I'm like, "Hey, can I get a media pass?" And yeah, we're not doing media passes. I'm like, "Okay, well, I was going to come cover your event." But someone else is like, "Hey, will you?" And I'm like, "You're inviting me to yours, and they're telling me they won't even give me a media pass. So I'm going to go to yours."
Okay.
So I think what's going to happen next year is going to be I'll get invited to one, and I won't get invited to the other. So, if I get an invitation from the host, I'm going.
Okay.
But if the other person's like, "Okay, we'll pay you," okay, well, I'm getting paid on this other one, so I'm going to go to this other one.
You have no other choice.
And it's going to go from paid to an invitation to, and I think that these things are going to start to, I'll have to put out my numbers. Okay, here's how much I charge for an event. Do you want the drone up? Okay. Do you want me to use the GoPro? Okay. Do you want me to have a second photographer? Do you want me to hand somebody the Sony?
You're gonna have your own team basically.
How many cameras do you want running?
That's fair.
And I'll show up for an invitation. Invitation is the minimum. Give me an invitation, and they want me there.
Okay.
Cool. I want to be there.
That's fair.
They're gonna pay me to be there. Okay. Well, now I'm at work. Right. Now I'm gonna have to try and work even harder to give them a product that I can say I'm proud of, that I can charge for.
Well, it's funny. It's funny how you brought that up, because when I got into car community, when I bought the M5. It took me almost 2.5 years, because Supercar Expo was going on for a while, right? Since 2019.
Yeah.
And I remember 2019, hey, can I go? No, your car's not qualified.
It's not an exotic.
It's not an exotic. It's not, and we still have this debate, we still have this argument until this day. It's whatever. And then the second time, that was last year. Well, obviously COVID was going on, but it still happened at the end of the day.
It did.
And I was like, can I go to this one? No. And then so finally this year, I was like, can I go? And they're like, Well,
Oh, you were
no.
at Supercar Expo?
No, but yeah. So Kicks Up Front, what happened? I went to Kicks Up Front.
Yeah.
The Supercar Expo that's going to happen in October.
You're going.
I finally got accepted to. Yeah. So
Sweet.
Yeah. So I'm really excited that my car is going to be there for sure, and what I've done with the car and what it's at now.
Yeah.
So like I've done a lot with that car, but more importantly, I've driven the shit out of my car. There's a lot of folks out there that know about my car. They've known the capabilities of it, and they know how I drive it, and I don't let that car breathe, basically.
Right.
So if it's like sitting, like I'm disappointed in myself, basically.
Yeah.
I remember, I shit you not, the first month that I had the car, I drove it so much. I spent $1,000 on gas in 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah. I just didn't give a shit.
Even for premium, that's
I
still...
I just didn't give a shit. Like I was like, I'm gonna drive it. Yeah, I bought the car with 108,000 miles in 2019. No, in June. Yeah, May, June, something like that. 2019 or April, and we are basically in August now, and I just hit 152,000 miles with it.
Oh wow!
In the last 2.5 years.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. The amount of road trips that I've been on with it, the amount of places that I've been on with it. I was dailying the car for a while. Yeah. I just don't let my car sit. Like I drive it.
I bought my car in 2016 with 14,000 miles, and I just rolled over 73.
Yeah. Holy shit.
But like my job's in Roanoke, it's in Roanoke, and and I'm driving to the Colony twice a weekend, and that's so funny because I'll be at an event, I'll be at Nebraska Furniture Mart, or I'll be at Cars and Cocktails, and I'll be talking to somebody that doesn't know who I am, and,
right.
And I'm like, I live in downtown Fort Worth. I'm like, you drive all the way over here? I'm like, it's Dallas Fort Worth. You're not willing to drive 40 miles to go somewhere.
It is what it is.
You have to, and not only that, but the majority of the stuff, the legitimate and the big stuff, is all in the Dallas area. I introduced somebody to Mondays Don't Suck that they've never heard of.
Right.
I'm like, if you Slam is not included. That is not included as one of the events. Mondays Don't Suck is the crown holder for size, for wheels on the ground. Mondays Don't Suck is it.
Yeah, and like I said, we obviously have to do another episode because we just probably talked about half of the stuff that we wanted to get into. So we'll definitely have to save more for the second episode, and we'll actually start off with Mondays Don't Suck because I actually enjoy Mondays Don't Suck.
Man.
It is crazy. It's crazy. It's like literally, it's the Fast and Furious style that everybody else looks forward to. So it's got its own ambiance for sure.
There's a shot that I have where I had the drone. Careless had asked me to do some shots of the booth. And they were at the front of the parking lot. And I'm like, okay. And I had this idea for this shot where my goal when I go to an event is I want to get a shot of every car.
Basically.
And that's why I used to have the stool where I'd stand up on the stool. I was trying to get a little shot of everything.
Right.
With the drone, I can finally get a shot of every car. So I started out, I was probably about 20 feet off the ground, and I'm pointing at the Careless booth. And then I just went up. And as I'm going up, you're seeing row after row after row. And I showed this video to somebody, like, you don't know about Mondays and stuff? They're like, no, I don't know. I'm like, let me show you this. And as you're watching, it keeps going up. And the row, and if you know the parking lot, they're
it's
like
huge.
And the whole parking lot is full.
Full.
It's full. And they're like, wow, that's a lot of, it's still going. I'm like, yeah, it's still going. It's not done. Keep watching. They're like, it's still going. I'm like, I know the entire parking lot is full. By the way, across the street, there's cars.
Right.
And on the other side of those trees, there's cars over there too. And there's the show.
That's right.
And they're like, that's a lot of, I'm like, it's easily.
Yeah. I think it's the only, that one and a rooftop meet. The rooftop meet that they host every once in a while. Like if they can figure out the location and the permit issue.
The anonymous one?
Yeah, the one that's in Plano.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they can figure that out perfectly, that's going to be a really good show too. And matter of fact, I think that would compete with Mondays Don't Suck.
For number of cars?
For number of cars and the amount of cars that go there, yeah.
That's, wow.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple, but I always stay on the top level, so I had no idea.
We'll talk more about that.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know.
We'll talk more about that for sure. But your Instagram, your YouTube, your TikTok, Motive Auto, correct?
M0.
Correct.
T1V3 underscore AUTO.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll screenshot it from your profile and I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll have everybody to get access to it. So
Awesome.
other than that, we're going to go ahead and sign off. So once again, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for coming up. My name is Naveed. Got Branden here. Everybody have a good one. Take care.